Recording
There you
this.
go. Brendan has
That says
started
it's
recording.
recording, yeah.
It's amazing. It must know something about me that it doesn't like. How dare it? Right. Are you ready, Brendan?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Stand by. Have a wee sip of your tea.
Yeah.
Well, what an absolute privilege this is, once again, to catch up with the lovely Brendan Reeves. Brendan, a very good evening to you. It is evening time where you are, isn't it?
Sure is, Cole. Yep, just sitting at the kitchen table in my house, not your house.
Yeah.
9 p.m. at night, so it's quite a nice night. Quite a nice night. There's a bit of a lightning storm around, so it's a bit exciting.
Ooh. That is quite exciting. I'm also at my kitchen table, as you might be able to tell, and we also have a storm blowing through. It's maybe not quite as exciting as yours, but we've had a few trees down. It's just it's very odd. It's supposed to be the middle of summer here, but it feels very, very, very autumnal. It's just getting me in the mood, Brendo, for a little trip maybe to New Zealand.
Yeah, it's going to be super exciting. I'm pretty keen for this trip as well. It's cool that we're both coming from different places in the world to little old New Zealand, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it really is. And do you know what? I always love catching up with you, Brendo. It's always a joy. Where did we last see you? Was it the Ada River Rally? I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, you come and you did my vlog for me. It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and yeah, no, I really enjoyed doing that. That was really, really kind of you to ask me to do that. But it was just a great day out, and for me, what it's just discovering these wonderful, wonderful rallies. You guys have got some remarkable, real top quality events out in Victoria, haven't you? And you know, it's just been fun watching your progress with that incredible beast that you have. Tell me a little bit about that before we talk a bit more about the Daybreaker Rally. But you know, the last 4 or 5 years, you've been rallying mainly the Dsn, haven't you?
Yeah, that's correct, Cole. I was actually just doing a little bit of research myself to see when I last rallied in New Zealand, when I last rallied a four-wheel drive. It's quite scary.
I know the answer. It was Otago Rally 2019.
Correct. Yeah. So it was a long time ago, pre-COVID, as everything seems to be now. And the last four-wheel drive rally I did was Rally Canberra 2.5 years ago in the Hyundai i20 R5. So, yeah, but the car I've been driving, and the reason I haven't been rallying four-wheel drives is my Datsun 1600, or for Americans, P510. We know this car is called 𝗪𝗪𝗧𝗏. It's a pretty awesome car that we've built up and that I rally now. It's a hell of a lot of fun. It's quite funny because on the press release for me doing the Daybreaker Rally, quite a few of the fans and people are saying they were disappointed they wanted me to bring the Datsun over. So I said, oh, we'll have to do that next time.
Yeah, no, that would be quite something. I know there's all sorts of paperwork and quite a lot of cost involved, isn't there, in taking cars across to New Zealand. But you know, you built that car into quite a finely tuned beast. But there's plenty of wonderful rallies still to compete in Australia, I suppose, before you start looking overseas with that beast.
Oh, absolutely. The goal had always been for that car to win the L1 Rally, which we haven't done yet, and to try and win the Otago. The only issue is with the Otago, it doesn't fit the classic rules. I could only be an all-comer, but just to compete in the Otago in it would be a hell of a lot of fun. But you know, I'm super excited getting this opportunity that's coming up in a few weeks' time, because it sort of was a little bit unexpected, but then I did a bit of work to bring it all together as well. So yeah, I think we get into talking about that because it's pretty exciting.
It is really, really exciting. You know, when your name was mentioned and they said, "Oh, Brendan's maybe trying to put a deal together," it was like, wow, that would be something special to see him back out in New Zealand. And then they started talking about this AP4 car, the 𝗏𝗏 Motorsport AP4 car. Tell me about that. Tell me how the deal came about and really what it was that made you think, yeah, you know, it is 5 years since I was in a four-wheel drive car and I want to go and do the Daybreaker Rally. How did that come about?
Yeah, well, it's quite interesting because I've got a bit of a love relationship with rallying in New Zealand over the years. I'd sort of love to rally there all my life, and I haven't rallied there for 5 years. So it's always been in the back of my mind that I really do need to get back to New Zealand, and I would love to do the full championship 1 year in an outright car, but that hasn't quite happened. But this opportunity's come around through Hayden Paddon, and him and I have had a pretty long rallying relationship with. I did the gravel crew for him for many years as well, and things like that. But he's lucky now. He's got 2 cars in New Zealand, and one just happened to not be used for the Daybreaker Rally. So it's a really cool, unique opportunity where I was able to get sponsorship money through Hyundai and Australia, and to compete in a Hyundai in New Zealand. So it's a really unique opportunity because I probably couldn't have put it together if it was a Mazda or a Toyota or something of those likes. I just hadn't been able to find the sponsorship money in other ways, but being in a Hyundai, it's really come together for me, and I'm excited about that because I've been linked with them, well, really since 2018 now. So it's cool to be in. It's not a new Hyundai, but Hayden's driven this car for many years and set it up really well. So I think we should have a really good run.
That's the great thing, isn't it, about stepping into this car for the first time, is there are no concerns. There are no concerns about the right setups for the type of roads. There are no concerns about the car being capable, because it's demonstrated. The team have demonstrated exactly what it can do. So I guess you can go out there and with minimal testing, I would hope you'll get a little bit of testing, but with minimal testing, you can be pretty confident that the car can deliver you a decent result out there.
I hope so. Like, I've driven, a lot of people mightn't know, but I have driven one of Hayden's cars before back in 2011. I got the opportunity to drive his Evo 9 in the APRC in Whangarei. I really did struggle in that rally. It being Hayden's setup, I'd come from rallying a Subaru a lot, and it was the first time for me rallying an Evo, and the car felt quite understeery to me, and everyone sort of back then talking about Evo setups. Evos are about high-speed, fast rallies, and Subarus were the tight and twisty rallies. So that might have been more that my characteristics of driving the car wasn't quite right. But I think the AP4 or an R5 or a Rally 2 car, they're a lot more dynamic car. They're easier to drive. They're softer in the suspension. They're more nimble car, sequential gearbox. They're about throwing the car around and, using the torque and driving them out of the corner. So hopefully that works out and it suits me a bit more. Plus Hayden's team's pretty well set up now. They've ensured me if I'm not happy with the setup, they'll be able to make some changes pretty quickly to get the car working for me.
Yeah, no, that's the great thing, that they are so in tune with all that's needed out there, aren't they, the Paddon team? So just explain to us the difference between your car, the car that you'll be driving, and the car that Hayden will be driving.
Yeah, so Hayden will be driving the latest Hyundai i20N Rally 2 car, which is the same as the car he's competing in, the ERC, and I'm competing in a Hyundai i20 AP4. So the AP4 rules are quite old now, but they were designed when R5 cars come out and there wasn't too many manufacturers. So it's basically the same rules, but Hyundai were able to build a car at the time, Mazda built a car in New Zealand, Toyota built a car and whatnot when there wasn't a Toyota Rally 2 to purchase. So yeah, very, very similar rules. The cars, generally, there's a few small things like AP4s have a 6-speed gearbox, Rally 2 cars have a 5-speed gearbox. So there's a few little things like that. New Zealand AP4 rules vary a little bit from the Australian rules as well. You are allowed a bit bigger CC engine in New Zealand, and you can have a bit more aero on the cars. So the car does have a little bit bigger wing and things like that as well, which will be good.
Well, if you put them back to back, which one? I guess you would always probably go for the Rally 2 car, but there are certain circumstances in which the AP4 cars may be a little better suited than the Rally 2 car.
I'm sure there is, yeah, Cole. It's a really good question. It's one that probably the last 5 years we all ask ourselves a lot as well. Looking at the Daybreaker stages, they are a bit twisty, which I think would probably suit the Rally 2 car more. being a bit more dynamic and set up chassis. But I'm sure that Hayden would most likely be car one on the road, and I won't be up the front on the road, hopefully. So he might be sweeping the stages, and I get a little bit better surface to drive on.
That's a really important kind of dynamic, isn't it? You know, because we know that 𝗕𝗿𝗄𝗏 is a world-class driver. He's still a world-class driver. He won, Rally Argentina a few years ago now, and he was right up there at the very peak of the sport. And it's difficult. It's always difficult for any driver, in national series, particularly drivers in the Antipodeans, to compete against the likes of 𝗏. He's getting lots of seat time. He's got all the experience. But that little advantage you get with that road position, it just keeps it interesting, doesn't it? And gives you that little glimmer of hope that, actually, things go my way today. I might be able to compete out on the stages.
Oh, it certainly does. You always wait for that entry list to come out and to see where you're going to be on the road. You're always checking the weather conditions, because if it's going to be really wet, you do want to be at the front of the road, maybe first or second. So it's a really challenging thing as a competing driver to see where you're going to be. But the problem is, as you get better through the ranks, you generally end up the front of the field. And with Hayden doing so many rallies overseas, there's no doubt that he'd be car one. But some rallies like the VRC that you come to, what they do is they put the top 3 drivers' names in a hat and you draw out your position. So you might go to the rallies car 3, but you get to the start of the rally in your car 1. That'd be interesting if they did that at Daybreaker, but I hope they don't.
Yeah. It's a hot topic for debate, that all around the world just now, road position, how you sort it out. To be honest with you, I don't really think there's an absolutely fair solution to it. I think, if you're the best driver, then you just face whatever is put in front of you. That's always been my view, but I know it isn't particularly popular. Listen, tell us about the Daybreaker then, Brendan. It's a rally that obviously was revived last year with a tremendous degree of success. I was there, and I have to say the atmosphere around the rally was fantastic. The quality there, as we find on most rounds of the New Zealand Championship, the quality of the cars, the drivers, the competition was superb. What do you know? How much homework have you done, Brendan Reeves, ahead of your trip down to New Zealand in a few weeks' time?
Started to do the homework now that everything's happening. I actually watched the last year's review show on YouTube just the other night. It's nice that Rally New Zealand has really good coverage, and the Power Stage Live that yourself was at, Cole, it looked to be absolutely teeming down with rain. So
I'm still drying out, Randall. I'm still drying out, mate. Honestly, it was wet.
Yeah, and that happens in New Zealand quite often, but it's actually not the end of the world as a driver, because generally there's still a lot of grip in the roads, because the roads are such a good hard base and plenty of crushed rock. Little bit I know about the rally this year is, I think it's more kilometres. It's 192 kilometres, and the rally goes by the name. We actually start at 4 a.m. in the morning. I looked, and we do an hour transport, and the first stage would be 5 a.m. in the morning. So it's not only going to be my first time driving this car, we're going to be driving in full darkness, one past 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and have a co-driver in Amy Hudson, which I've never sat with. So it's going to be a big challenge.
Yeah, but Brendan, but that typifies your career. I mean, you're a man that's not afraid of a challenge. You've always kind of embraced the challenge, haven't you? And you have to in rallying. You absolutely have to. If you're afraid of the challenges, then you're in the wrong sport, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. And look, I'd prefer if everyone was in that same situation, but they're not. But it's an opportunity I've got, so you might as well take it with both hands and do a bit of study. And I'll do a few laps in my Subaru, try and get used to the four-wheel drive again. I've actually got a pretty nice simulator set up as well, so I'll do some testing in the Rally 2 on the simulator as well, try and get my head around the four-wheel drive again, and pace notes, because I don't really do pace note rallies anymore. The last pace noted rally I did now was over 12 months ago with 𝗥𝗹𝗹𝗆𝗍 sitting beside me, so that's going to be a new thing again. But probably one good thing about not doing too many pace noted rallies is I'm used to reading the road quite a lot now, really looking ahead. So hopefully those steady lights on the car are pretty good, so I can see the road.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? As you said, 192 kilometers in one day. I love that idea. I really do. You know,
Yeah.
you're a businessman, Brenda. There's so many people nowadays with their time. There's such demands on their time to go rallying. And, you know, when we go to 2-3 day rallies to do 220, 230 kilometers, it seems nuts, doesn't it? When you can do
Yeah.
a proper 190 plus kilometer rally in a day. You know, it's physically demanding, it's mentally challenging, but in terms of your good use of time, it's a fantastic concept.
Yeah, and I was trying to think, it's probably the most Ks I will have done in a day. There's other rallies
Yeah.
I've done which will be quite close, but I really, really love that style of rally, like you said. Yeah, I'd do 500 Ks in 2 days if I could. Yeah, I just love it
Well,
and thrive
there's
on
an
it.
option, Brendo. I know we're talking Daybreaker, but if you want to come to the Heartland next year, 500 plus kilometers in 48 hours. Oh,
Yeah,
it's a cracker.
how good is that? Exactly. It's only
How
just up
good
the
is
road
that?
too. I don't have to fly to New Zealand.
I love that. It's only just up the road, about 1,200 kilometers to the west of you, but yeah, only just up the road for you Australians.
It's only 6 hours that way for me.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love the format that they've got for the Daybreaker Rally. It really is.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it's the future. It's what we should be looking at. You need to look after your customers. You know, and you know that from being in business. You need to look after your customers, and this is all part of looking after your customer base.
Oh, it is, and I think I haven't seen much about the super special on the Friday night, but that should
Yes.
be pretty exciting too. Yeah,
Yeah, I've seen it. It looks good. It's fairly straightforward. You'll be pleased to know.
okay.
But you
Yeah,
know, there's a bit of it'll be great. There'll be a bit of speed in there, and there'll be a whole load of spectacle, and hopefully a fair amount of gravel and dust being thrown about. I think it'll be fun.
because I think a lot of rallies lack that now. A lot of big rallies, you know. I think the Friday night super special is so important to get the hype and get the rally going, and it's really important as well as a driver. When I started rallying, or back in the day, I did autocross, which was only 2 kilometer sprints, and that really taught you to be fast on a super special. I haven't done that for a long time, but it's just all about being clean and smooth and fast, isn't it?
Yeah, it'll be fun for sure. Now, Brendo, have you ever been to the Manawatu and the 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 before, to the region of New Zealand? You been down there?
Well, the only time I've been to 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 North was traveling through, so spent no time there.
Right. Well, I tell you, I know you're busy. I know you're a very, very busy man with a family and all the rest. But if you get the chance, just try and factor in at least half a day and have a look around. It's beautiful. I went there for the first time last year and discovered 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 North and Fielding, another wonderful little town that the rally visits. Do you know it was voted New Zealand's prettiest town many, many times, Fielding? So it's got to be worth a
Yeah,
visit, hasn't it?
we might have to go on a field trip, Cole.
Do you know what? And do you know you would love it? There's in Fielding there is the second biggest cattle market in the Southern Hemisphere. I don't know if that appeals to you. I love cattle markets. Cattle markets are fun, and it's got a tremendous transport museum, which I know will appeal to you. That's your sort of thing, Brendo.
Yep, we can have a steak on the barbie.
Oh, yes, we can. Or a little lamb chop somewhere, one or the other. Brendo, it's going to be a huge amount of fun. Listen, before we go, we have to talk a little bit. You mentioned there about the co-driver and the fact that you've got a new co-driver. You know, these guys are incredible. The family, they really are just the most remarkably dedicated family of co-drivers. I don't know what seat you'll be, but you'll be seated quite high, and to have a brother and sister sitting in, you know, the number 1 seat car and potentially the 2 or 3 seat car, it's incredible, isn't it? They're quite some family.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, with the whole family co-driving is quite remarkable. Generally, you get some drivers and some co-drivers in amongst the family, but to have everyone as co-drivers, pretty awesome. And they're such an approachable family as well. So I think we're going to have a great time with that, and it'll be a special thing as well for them. Like they'd be really excited about it as well, to see the kids up the front of the field.
Yeah, you know, something that I noticed really the first time I came to New Zealand was just how many women were represented in rallying in New Zealand. And yeah, you know, we've obviously got Emma driving, but in terms of co-drivers, it is incredible how many top class female co-drivers are coming out of New Zealand and Australia these days. You guys are doing something very, very right out there.
Most of my driving career, I've had female co-drivers. We've done over 80 rallies with Rhiannon, and then one of my co-drivers has been Kate Raymond as well for many rallies. But a little bit about that, obviously Rhiannon being my sister, but also you got to imagine if you're a driver, you're looking ahead down the road, you're not looking at the person eye to eye like you and I are now. All you can hear is this voice in your head. So it's like telling a story, and having a woman's voice, to me, calling the notes is really, really nice because it's such a soft, soothing sort of noise as well. The pitch changes really well. So I think they do a phenomenal job on calling the notes, and women are generally very organised as well. So some of them are just brilliant co-drivers, and they really enjoy the sport as well. And they can see it in a different way to men as well sometimes. So you get a different type of enjoyment about it and whatnot. So yeah, I'm really excited to have Amy in the car. It's going to be good fun.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see you guys, see how you get on. Excited to see, obviously, young Jared as well with Hayden. And I'm pretty sure Rocky, and what's Rocky's wife called? I've forgotten her name. Oh, I can't believe it.
Is it Linda?
Could be. But apologies, Mrs. Hudson. That's very rude of me. She cooked me a beautiful Sunday lunch about 5 or 6 years ago at their home, when I stayed over before a flight to Auckland, and I've forgotten your name. How terribly rude of me. Brendan, can I tell you something that's intriguing me and slightly upsetting my my OCD? That picture behind you on the wall. Listen, I know you're down under, and I know things are upside down under, but that looks like it's on its side. Is that on its side?
Yeah.
Should it be 45 degrees?
It's a drone shot, and it's that far up.
Yes.
That's actually that's a 4-wheel drive. Yeah, it's a beautiful with the change of the colours. So they're called Salty Wings. They're an Australian company, and we have quite a few of them throughout the house. Cats got onto them, and one of the other one I'm looking at next to the TV, it's actually Sardinia, and Cass and I met in Sardinia. So we've tried to get some of unique places around the world that we've actually been or met. Yeah, so it's really cool.
That's a very lovely
thing. Think when I turn on the computer, it's a bit off-putting. It looks like I'm laying on my side.
It looks as if it should be 45 degrees, but now you've explained it, it makes absolutely perfect sense. You're an old romantic at heart, really, Brendan Reeves, aren't you? I love the idea of I really do.
The gravel road's me, and Cass loves the ocean, so it's a bit of, you know, that's me and that's Cass, and yeah, it's brought together.
You are a proper old romantic. You really are. Brendan, listen, it's been an absolute joy talking to you this evening. Apologies for the earlier technical absolute incompetence on my part.
We're still going to see that this recording works yet.
Fingers crossed, and you're in charge, so I'm sure it will. Brendan, listen, thank you very much. I know how busy you are. That's very good of you. Really looking forward to seeing you in, I think it's about 3 weeks' time now, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming fast. Yeah.
Wow. We will see you in New Zealand. All the best, Brendan. Thank you for your time.
September.
See you there, mate.
Thank you.
Top man, Brendan. That was great. Thank you,
press
fella.
Stop recording on that.
Yeah, press stop recording. I'll sort out the